The squat. The squat is one of the most important movements that we will incorporate into our resistance training because it's such a useful, functional movement. We are constantly squatting in our lives when we go to the toilet, when we sit down on a chair, when we stand up from a chair. That position is something that is very, very functional in life. So really important to incorporate this as part of a resistance training. It's great for strengthening not just your lower body, but your whole body, because when done correctly, we're really utilizing your core muscles as well. So how we set up for a squat is individual to everybody, and that is because all of our bodies are different. Our hip structure is different. How long our bones in our legs are is different. So your squat is going to potentially look quite different to somebody that's squatting directly next to you. What we need to do is find the position that works for you. Some people might find that they're very comfortable taking a very wide stance. Some people might find they're comfortable taking a very narrow stance. You can see that that's not very comfortable for me because I felt a blockage in my hips there because my hips don't allow me to squat in that way. So play around with it. Find a position where you can sit down quite freely and comfortably without feeling any blockages or any tightnesses. Now, with the squat, the emphasis is sitting down. So I want you to imagine that you have a chair behind you and you're simply going to sit down onto that chair and then stand back up again. Obviously, it's a bit more complicated than that because there are things I want you to think about when you're doing your squat. So we're going to start with your feet. It's really important that we keep your feet fully planted into the floor. If you're finding when you're squatting down, your heels are lifting or your feet are finding it hard to stabilize, then we might need to change something with your setup. So screwing your feet into the floor is really important. This is our base. Now, coming up to our knees. It's really important that we keep our knees driving out over our toes. What can commonly happen is that we might find that your knees can cave in. So when you are squatting, it's always good to think about your knees driving outwards. It might feel like you're creating a big curve, but actually you're just creating a really nice base for your squat. When you come down, I'm very happy for your knees to come over your toes if that is comfortable for you to do so. So keeping your knees driving out. Now with your hips, you want to make sure that your hips are in line. So what I mean by that is that we're not shifting down to one side. We want to make sure that you're sitting directly backwards into that chair. So we've got a nice even squat. Now, how low can you go? Again, this totally depends on your anatomy. You might find that you can come down almost ass to grass. And I've got to be honest, I wasn't always able to get down here. This is something that I've worked on because often it's a mobility issue that doesn't allow you to get this low, but sometimes it's your anatomy. So basically, we want to try to get to at least parallel, and if you can go beyond that, that is great. So, body weight squats is where we will begin. If this is a challenge, then we have got a squat that you can do against a wall with a Swiss ball. That's just going to help you get into the swing of that movement and build up some strength through your legs. To make this harder, we're going to add a weight. So this is a goblet squat. So called because we're going to hold a weight up to our neckline with our hands like a goblet. You can do this with a dumbbell, you can do this with a kettlebell. I'm doing it with a weight plate. Basically, this is just a way of adding extra resistance to your lower body as you control down into the bottom of your squat and as you push up. So I'm going to sit down as low as I can. I'm going to drive my knees out. I'm going to push down through the floor, drive my knees out as I come back up with a little butt squeeze at the top. So coming down, push through my floor, drive my knees out, driving up. Let's do one more. Push down through my feet, knees out, up we come. There's also a harder version that involves having the barbell on your back, which changes your center of gravity, but there is another video specifically on the barbell squat. Give it a go.